Hello. So this came this morning, which is something I bought from China like 2 weeks ago. So this has actually come really quickly compared to some things which are still stuck in transit due to all the corona stuff. So we'll open this up in a minute and we'll see if it works. I don't think it's really a Geiger counter, but it does detect radiation. At least it does if it does what it's advertised to do. So this is made by the same people that make those diode sort of Geiger counters for the mobile phones. I do like, though, that it's not got quite actual real English on the front. No more worries on radioactivity for my family. You can easily check the danger of radioactivity. Just place it near the suspicious object. Suspicious object. Good morning, AJ. You're the first person on in the comments. Here comes everybody. So hello, I'm streaming quite early today because I had to get up early for a delivery, and thankfully that did come early rather than it being one, you have to get up for a 9 o'clock time slot and then it ends up coming at 5 p.m. or not coming at all. And that was my 12 bottles of mead and some proper aged rum. So I thought I'll try that, see if I like it. Not this early in the day, obviously. And then if I do like that, maybe I'll end up spending more money on rum in the future buying single malts. Well, not single malts, but you know what I mean, like the equivalent. Right, glow in the dark. So yeah, let's open this despite the slightly dodgy English on the front and see if I can get it working, because apparently no more worries on radioactivity. So apparently, it wouldn't, according to this, even if you were in Chernobyl, you wouldn't be worried about the radioactivity because it would tell you it's there. I don't think that's quite how these are meant to work, but anyway. No, don't tempt me, AJ. I know it's the evening somewhere else in the world. Right, no instructions with it. That's a great sign. Oh wait, there is instructions. Wow, it actually came with a 3M sticker. Wow. Okay. Let's see if it's come charged. Right. So it looks like it uses one of the FT Lab apps, which I might already have on my phone. So I'm assuming, because I can't be asked to read all this at the moment, unless it doesn't work, that I'm meant to just turn this on. Is that a switch hidden under there? Oh yeah, it's got a weird I see, it is a switch under there. But I bet this hasn't got any charge in it by default, so I bet I'm going to have to charge it now. So yeah, right. Let's work out what sort of USB this uses and see if I can get this charged up before the stream ends. I think it's the same one like all the mobiles use. I think it's just one of these. Oh great, there's not even a light coming on now, unless this doesn't like this particular USB cable. Could always be that. Let's just do the on-off switch again. Oh, a green light did come on briefly that time. Right, so let's just let this and see if it charges. Let's hope it charges. Let me just pull the cable out and in, just in case it wasn't a very good connection. But yeah, because ideally, obviously, I would like to be able to charge this up and see if it works on the stream. Although saying that, that's one of those slightly too bulky USBs, I reckon, to go in there, even though it's the right connection. I've never heard of them before, so I can't tell you if they're good or bad. I'm afraid. Right, let me just see if I've got another one of these cables laying about, because I should do. That's good, Mike, if you're fully recovered in that regard. Now, this is the same type of cable, it's just longer, but let's just see if the connection's any better on this one. Because I ideally would like to charge this and do a video on it, rather than just having it as an inert yellow sort of box. The idea is basically you connect this to your Wi-Fi or your Bluetooth, you can put this near an object, and then you can have like a wall monitor telling you what the radiation is about, Let me just see if it actually is on the Bluetooth. I know with some USBs they're really weird, aren't they, about like how many volts or like how long the cable is, but let's just have a look on the Bluetooth thing in case it is actually doing something. Pair new device. Can it see it? Probably not. It's good your stomach's good again. No, it can't find it. That's a good sign. I'm going to be cutting my hair later. That's why I'm doing a stream at this time today. Yeah, we're off to an amazing start with this. Because the thing is, if I flick it on and off, you do get briefly, or I did before, get the little green light flash on there. But, Oh, well, I'm going to have to probably dig out one of my proper chargers for this later, so maybe I won't be able to show this on the stream. It's a bit of a shame, but yeah, I've got a few of like the shorter USB cables that are a bit more reliable than these ones. Yeah, I don't want to really get distracted the entire stream trying to get this to power on and find it doesn't. Let me just try it in a USB 2.0 slot in case it doesn't like USB 3.0. No, try it in another slot just in case. No. One last thing I can try, I guess, is shoving it into the mains. I don't mean like blowing it up on the mains. I mean just literally plugging it into a electric to USB adapter. And there's only one here. Yeah, that's the exact issue I have, Mike. As soon as my hair starts getting long, I start getting dandruff again. Nah, I reckon I'm going to have to charge this when I'm not on the stream. But yeah, so in theory, I'll let you know later down the road if this works or not. But I'm not very impressed so far, but I guess I could look at the instructions, couldn't I? How to use switch on after inserting the batteries. Ah, does this need batteries? That would be funny. Let's open it up and have a look. I know that sounds like a stupid thing, but with all this modern stuff, you never play about with battery compartments anymore. So let me just get a little Phillips screwdriver out, and maybe we will get them working after all. There we go. Batteries not included, no. Oh, it says insert the batteries, but see, I assume this was just like a little modern battery pack, but maybe not. Let's hope I open up the right bit and don't instantly void a warranty and then find out I can't return it. Yeah, they're very small instructions as well. The thing is, the Therapy actually came with a really good instruction manual. You know, like in very good English, all kind of set out properly. You know, you had the quick reference bit if you just wanted to look up how to do something in there and all that sort of stuff. But a lot of these instructions, you know, might as well not be instructions. Right. I need to not lose the screws because that will be a bad start if I do that. At least it's magnetized, the screwdriver at the moment. All right, Scott. If I didn't say hello, because often I forget to say hello to people if I'm in the middle of doing something. Right, the battery backpack is opening now. I'm good, Connor, thank you. I'm currently seeing if I can get a little DIY, it's not even DIY Geiger, a little wireless Geiger thing working that came in the post today. Yeah, well, that would explain why it didn't work. So it's AAA is by the look of it. Okay, that should be easy to sort out. Right, let's hope these have a bit of charge in them. Otherwise, you know, it's the same issue again, but... I've had a battery actually explode when on charge. Not very pleasant, started a fire. At least I was in the house at the time. So yeah, rechargeable batteries literally can explode if you don't have a very good charger. Right, so... Wow, that's a good start now, isn't it? Oh, and look, it works. Okay, Good. Right. We've cracked the problem. The problem literally was they didn't include batteries, and they didn't make that very obvious. So let's now close this back up, and I'll put the screws in before I lose them. And I'm hoping now I might be able to charge it via the USB because it's got rechargeable batteries in it. Wouldn't that be a good thing? Oh, great. The screws are really fiddly. I don't think whoever designed this battery compartment had a very good thing. I'm hoping the product itself is actually good. I just don't think the overall design of this was very well thought out. Little fiddly tiny screws to put batteries in. Because you'd hope with this, the idea would be once you've got the batteries in it, you can basically just keep it on a USB plug somewhere, wherever you want it in your house, and then, look at it on your phone wherever you are to see what the radiation levels are in your house. I think that's what this is designed for. But it was quite a weird little product. I just saw it on AliExpress and thought, there aren't enough budget Chinese Geiger counters in the world. Just because that's kind of a funny, thing. But yeah, it is. So that's why I thought it might actually be all right, because although it's not really a Geiger counter, it works using a little diode that detects radiation. In theory, it does work like a Geiger counter in the sense it counts. But yeah, it's made by FT Lab, which is the same Chinese company that does all that stuff. Thankfully, I've magnetized the screwdriver, which does help a little bit of not losing screws, because they do stick to the back of the screwdriver. Right, now that's on, and I've actually got, a light I can see coming off of it, or I think it flickers on and off every now and then. Let's put this back on charge. And let's see, does it actually work this time? No, I do not believe phones give you cancer. There's lots of videos that explain all about that on YouTube if you want to watch them, and I don't mean people on about 5G masts. I mean, channels that actually talk about stuff like that and understand it, can explain to you why 5G cannot give you cancer, how it works. Right, yep, that's flickering now, the light. So I assume that it's both on and maybe even hopefully charging the batteries in there. So now that's like that. Let's just pop this up there somewhere. And let's see, can my phone see it? BLE gamma. Oh, I wonder if it's that pairing. If not, I've paired something that randomly says gamma. But I assume because, gamma radiation. Maybe. It's meant to work for your phone, Rashab, so that's what I'm doing at the moment. I'm seeing, can I get my phone to pair with it? Do I need to press anything on this as it pairs? Can't see a pairing button. Pairing, come on. I'll hold them both right next to each other. Ah, good, it's paired with it. Right, now let's see. Okay, oh look, it's flickering now. It's doing something. Right, let's see if I go to the FT Lab. Yeah, if only there were some instructions that weren't shit with tiny print. Right, okay, so let's try the Smart Geiger app and see if that actually works with it. Or do I need to get a custom app for this particular thing? Right, apparently. Don't know if you can see that. It's going to be too bright. I think that is doing something. I've lost the Bluetooth thing at the top of my thing. Is it still connected? Currently connected, yes. It says... Right. Let's see if they do a specific app for this one. Famida Chowdhury or Chowdhury says no one leave the video. Okay. Right, let's see if I go on the App Store, if they do a specific app for this one that isn't the same app as the other one. Actually, I've got a QR code scanner I could even scan, couldn't I? The Android little thing they've put on the back. Maybe that will auto link me to the app without me having to manually search for it and get the wrong one. Oh no, it won't focus. Come on. This is brilliant. This is because it won't actually focus on the you know, like the hash code thing, whatever they call it. Oh, there we go. I think it's finally focused on it. Copy to clipboard. Okay. Now, if I go to clipboard, does it actually give me the thing, or is it still going to be something that's not in use? Oh, okay. I need wireless smart Geiger. Oh, here we go. Wireless smart Geiger. Yeah, it's got a picture of the thing. This will be the thing. It'd have still been much faster, wouldn't it, if I just bloody got the thing myself. Yeah, I'll do that when I do a proper video on it, Rashad. But at the moment, I'm just seeing if can I get it working at all. Like, the thing is with these, I don't think they're that good in terms of overall accuracy, but they will show you, is there radiation or is there not radiation? You know, so they're better than having no fucking clue if there's radiation. That's the way I look at a lot of these. Connect Bluetooth. There we go. Right, so connecting and initializing. I'll turn the brightness down on the screen, and maybe you'll be able to see it better from... It's a bit better, isn't it? Right, cool. So I guess I press the power on button now. Oh, we're off to a good start. Settings, right. Well, it lets you save a log and all that, so that's quite good, but why can't I start it? Right, I'm going to unplug this from the USB a minute, because I think this is meant to tell you how much battery it's got on the device. Battery. Battery mode doesn't do anything. This certainly has one of those very antiquated, you know, I would have personally made this better. Not that I can program for shit, but you know, it's let down by its own app again. Hello, everybody joining. Yugoslavian M2s are good. The only issue is they're still made from melty rubber. So, you know, it's a good mask up until the point it melts. Ah, here we go. Would you start measuring? Save log 10 days. Okay. Download is complete. Right. Okay, look, it's doing something now. So we've got somewhere. It's currently telling me it's 0.00 microsieverts an hour. So what we're going to do is I'll put that up on there, and that should go to about 20 or 25 microsieverts in a minute. Bob Loblong says, another great stream, trans right, comrade. Thank you very much. It's actually Gay Pride Month this month, isn't it? Or Pride Month, whatever they call it now, because it's meant to be a lot more inclusive, isn't it? I only actually noticed that because there was something when I think Google told me about it. I know that probably sounds awful that I don't know that, but it's one of those things where I absolutely, you know, have no issue with it, but I'm never really aware it's on until there's the M1 is a melty mask, but the M2 is also a melty mask. Right, okay, here we go. Look, 3 seconds, 1 second. Right, it thinks we're at 0.50 microsieverts, so that's pretty high. It's not really going to be that high. Right, let me see if I can make it go a lot higher. Wow, this would just happen to fit inside a Fiesta-ware dish, wouldn't it? Oh, look at this. Oh. It's in a Fiesta-ware dish, and there's some Autonite on a shelf. Wonder what will happen with the reading now. Let's find out. Yeah, it looks like it refreshes every minute, I guess. They're like £30, I think. They're quite new as far as I can see, at least on AliExpress. But yeah, because again, it's one of those things where it's nowhere near as good as a real Geiger counter. It's Bluetooth. So the issue is, Kyle, I think, it's only really good if you're in the house with it. I don't think it's one where, looking at this now, you can go out of the house and check what the radiation levels are in your house, which is what I thought it initially was. I mean, oh, it's gone up, look. So it does know that the Fiesta-ware is radioactive. It's gone to 2.55 microsieverts, so it obviously works. Let's see what the log looks like. Yeah, there's a view log thing. Right, I guess refresh. Do I press refresh? Right. So far, there's not a log on there, so I can't talk about how good the log is. But maybe that's daily. It shows things on the log. Right. Thank you, Snorky. 11HHH30. That was your old name. It's in the thing, but that's all right. I've missed a few troll comments as well, I guess. But yeah, I'm trying to think what the purpose of this is. I think it's more if you had it on and logging in your room, you could basically find out if the radiation levels were going up. But again, it's not. Again, lots of these things, it looks like they've got a good idea, but they've not made them that practical. Look, see, the radiation is going up because it knows at the moment it's 3.35 microsieverts. So again, I can see the point of this, right? I think what the point of it is that, especially if you had it where it could charge up, you could just have this somewhere, and it's obviously designed on the back so you can mount it. You could essentially have it. I've not got a little thing, I don't think the right size there, but what you could essentially do, I think the point is that, it's meant to just mount on the wall. That's probably why they gave that 3M sticker with it, weirdly, wasn't it? They did give a proper 3M sticker with it. So yeah, I'm not going to use this, but there's an adhesive pad. So I think the idea is, yeah, that the adhesive pad goes on there, you stick it onto a wall or something. Yeah, the point is they got £30 from me. But here's the thing, AJ. If I don't give it a very good review, will they sell loads more? Because, I mean, I'm not going to claim that obviously my videos are going to impact enough people, but there's certain Geigers I haven't recommended before based on looking at them. But what do you mean? When is there another gas mask video? Probably I'll do another one next week. But the problem is I don't have any new masks to do videos on, do I? So yeah, I mean, this for the price, this still isn't bad because you can't really get Geiger counters under $30 brand new, except for the ones that plug straight into your phone, which is a bit more responsive. But the point is that, right, we'll see in a minute if the log goes down, because it should do. In a minute, the log should go down a bit because it's in my hand at the moment and not in the Fiestaware bowl. I mean, the cool thing of this, I suppose I could lock this in the radiation safe and then see wirelessly, how radioactive the safe is. Although, would the wireless transmission even work with the gamma rays messing with it? See, that's another thing that I bet this isn't shielded. I think it says in 10 minutes it will do an update on that log. Wow, it's telling me if radiation's going up or down. So in that regard, if it was on and going, you would know if radiation was around, yes. But anyway, I'm going to pop this back in the Fiestaware bowl so we can see if it carries on going up during the stream. Oh, it actually flashes red. Okay, it does do a function that's useful. So it's got a little light on there that mostly flashes green every now and then, which probably isn't going to be visible now. But I noticed when I put it in the Fiestaware bowl, it started flashing red. Yeah, there we go. So it can detect, obviously, from itself if there's, a spike of radiation, because that just flickered red then. So, yes, the point is that, okay, it does kind of visually display stuff, but, you also can get these Chinese ones here that, kind of do that. I mean, those ones are more like 60 quid, but, and the screen's going to be too bright to see on the webcam. Oh, that's cool, Soviet gas mask collector. I'll need to watch a video on that. But I'm assuming there was a bit of radium then, was there, or something there? Oh yeah, saying that, for the price of that thing, you could get a Bereg, couldn't you? Oh, I think we solved the problem. I mean, if I put this over here, Oh, I can already hear it chirping. It's a bit more responsive, the Bereg, isn't it? I suppose that's because it's old Soviet technology. But yeah, there we go. So, yes, I think Soviet gas mask collector, you make a good point there. You could just get a Bereg, couldn't you? Yeah, the only thing with Bereg is the reading to go into the red doesn't need to be very high at all. I think on modern numbers, 1 microsievert is around where this goes into the red. So basically, if you're around any source that's radioactive, it will always go into the red. Green is like background radiation. Yellow is like background plus a couple of little decays hitting it. Right. Shed on Fire, what's the battery life on the Bereg? Probably quite a long time because it's an old Soviet one, and there's a couple of different batteries you can put in it. So imagine if it's efficient. Right, with that new one, I don't know yet. It will be down to the milliamps of the rechargeable batteries you put in it, whether or not you're running it off of a USB. And also, weirdly, with radiation, the more radiation something's exposed to, the less time the battery lasts. Interestingly, the therapy with good batteries is designed to last about a year at background radiation levels. If you put it on check sources constantly, you'll get like a month out of it because it just saps the battery energy. They are accurate in a way, Connor. The little diode one that goes on the phone is pretty good for what it is. They won't ever go high because they oversaturate too easily, but they'll tell you if it's background radiation or like dangerous radiation. Only, Rashab, if you get one that's exactly the right size for your head. The reason straps are kind of better is just you can tighten them a bit. Most helmet style masks of the hood, they're either too small or too big. Thank you, Tim. And afternoon, Rich, are you okay? Oh, look, we're up to 20 microsieverts an hour now. So the point is, this does actually work. You know, like I said, it's kind of a bit pointless compared to a proper, you know, normal Geiger counter. But, you know, it's an interesting thing, you know. But, yeah, 20.8 microsieverts now. So it knows that Fiesta Ware is radioactive, you know. Oh, weird, CJ Campo. I've been watching a load of Doctor Who's recently. What episode shall I watch today? I need to check which ones I've got downloaded. But downloads Doctor Who. What's the original Cybermen episode? I know it's a Phil Hartner one. I'm assuming it's one of the first couple of seasons. I don't actually know which the name is of that one. I'll have to look it up. Horrible Spider Planet one. Right. That sounds like a good one. John Pertwee. Let's have a look. What was the first John Pertwee season? Is it season 7? Yeah. Right. Let's have a look. I'll go through the John Pertwee episodes. Spearhead from Space. That's the Auton one. Doctor Who and the Solarians or Solarians. The Ambassadors of Death. Inferno. Carrot of the Autons. The Mind of Evil. The Claws of Axos. Colony in Space. The Demons. I think there's some more John Pertwee ones, aren't there? Day of the Daleks, The Curse of Paddleton, The Sea Devils, The Mutants, The Time Monster. 3 Doctors, Carnival Monsters, Frontier in Space, Planet of the Daleks, The Green Death. Planet of the Spiders, part one of 6. Have I got more downloaded? Yes, I have. Let's have a look. copyright strike when the music starts. Right, I'm just flicking through this to check who the Doctor is. So I'm not sure if this is Tom Baker or John Pertwee, is it? Some people in a car. Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart. Still not seen a Doctor yet. That's probably because I'm just spanning through it. I'll watch it properly later, but if this is a good episode, I'll watch this one then, Mike. There's a lot of random people chatting this one. Oh, it's John Pertwee because he's... Oh, it's not John Pertwee. That was just VLC glitching on somebody's face. Let's have a look. Guy with really big headphones on. VLC lagging because I'm clicking through on VLC. The Waters of Mars is a modern one. Oh, you see, this is the issue. You're suggesting modern Doctor Who to me. That's heresy. I'm being very hipstery. I think Resurrection of the Daleks I've actually got on DVD. Was that the Sylvester McCoy one, or is that one of the earlier ones? Oh, so it's Peter Davidson. I'm sure I've seen it, but what's the basic plot? Is it the one on the, like, spaceship thing? It is John Pertwee, the Doctor, in this one, Mike. All right, I'll watch this one later. I'll check it's all downloaded. I want to watch the Sea Devils one as well, but... Right, Resurrection of the Daleks. Let me look that up. I'm sure I've seen it, but it will probably be worth me watching it again, as always. Ah, yeah, it's the thing about the, like, prison spaceship. Yeah, I have seen that. I think it's on our, like, we've got a, what's it called? Basically like a, Doctor Who Dalek thing that came out, like, yonks ago, where it had, like, I think Dalek Invasion of Earth in it. I'm trying to think what the episodes were in it, but it was quite good. It was just like a selection of different Dalek episodes, and I know there was a Sylvester McCoy one in there where it floats up the stairs. Morse code is interesting, but I can never be asked to learn it. But I suppose it is milksop in a sense. I mean, Morse code was very important during the American Civil War because the Union made good use of Morse code and Confederacy didn't. So it's a much faster way of spreading messages, assuming that you had the wire to send the Morse code down. Is that the one with Peter Cushing in Soviet Gas Mask Collective? I've got both the Peter Cushing Doctor Who films on DVD. Even though in that he's not actually a Time Lord, is he? He's just an old man who makes a time machine basically in his shed. But yeah, of course, I'll have to rewatch the Peter Cushing Doctor Who's, and they're in Technicolor as well. Back when Doctor Who was black and white. But I don't actually know, Beagle. Maybe somebody on here can help you. Oh yeah, it's because the movies have had more budget. But the thing is, I do like a lot of the old Doctor Who's, but the thing is, like I was saying to people about Doctor Who, is because it went on so long, some of the episodes are crap, some of the episodes are good, and then some of the episodes are, like, enjoyably bad. Yeah, that's a bit silly, Rashab, isn't it? If people are selling massively common masks that are in bad condition for stupid prices. Let me search what that means, shed on fire, because that's like legal talk, isn't it? Is that a category 4 burn or something, do you mean? What do you mean? I'm really lost now what this is actually. Army Officer Selection Board? Is it something like that? I'm probably just being really thick at the moment, but yeah, it's because everybody was talking about Doctor Who, and I was thinking maybe it was about somebody electrocuting themselves or something. Oh, there's also the thing, isn't there, Soviet gas mask, all about how old Doctor Who's a bit like old Star Trek, where they didn't have loads of budgets and they had to be creative. Now the BBC just throws money at it, but they don't pay a lot of money for scripts, which is part of the problem. Oh, is that the film of Lost in Space? Not the old TV series of Lost in Space, but the film of Lost in Space? Oh, right. So is it like medically unfit to serve then, Shed on Fire? Because I'm medically unfit to serve, even I've never ever bothered going into selection thing, but I know because I've got several things that would put me on the list. But I'm sure if there's a big war, they'd still give you a gun and march you into a machine gun nest. If that's something you wanted to look forward to. But I mean, obviously it does suck if you really want to actually join up and couldn't or whatever. But I suppose you can look it in one sense, can't you? Of you're probably not going to get conscripted to be turned into cannon fodder. All right, that's cool, Max. Good luck with that. Best cheap gas mask with a drinking tube. Wow, I'm not a massive fan of it, but the Czech M10M has a drinking tube. The Polish MP4B also has a drinking tube. The S10s aren't cheap, sadly. Yeah, I think it is really bad, though, isn't it, Mike, for people who really want to join up. They've done something when they're younger, and then they can't join up. That's all right, AJ. I'm glad I've reassured you. I hope it goes well. I know lots of people. Obviously, I've had family members that have all been in the army and loved it. I'm just trying to look at it with a bit of a sort of cynical way of looking at it. But in all honesty, though, at the moment, Britain isn't really invading, like other people's countries for oil money. So there's that. It's not like what we were doing in the early 2000s. But yeah, there's a lot of people who come on here, that have all sorts of conditions or whatever that make them exempt for army, even though they really wanted to go into it. But yeah, apparently it's really, seems to be like what Max is just saying there. It seems to be really sort of hit and miss whether you're allowed in or not with some things. Yeah, well, it's a bit weird like that, Soviet gas mask. There was a point where they basically wanted people to basically already have really, really good fitness before they'd let you in. They wouldn't train you, in a sense. And now they're asking old people who have served to join back up. They keep putting adverts on for RAF rejoiners or whatever they call it. So yeah, I think it's they constantly just change it, don't they, with how many people they've got meeting. They'll probably loosen it and make it stricter based on how many people are signing up or not signing up. I assume that's how they do it. See, that's a weird thing, Kyle. I can't get that because surely they could just get you to take the piercing out, couldn't they? There's lots of weird stuff like that. I just don't get if that's especially where they keep boasting about how they're a lot more inclusive than they used to be, but then they're saying like, oh, that doesn't make you look. The PMG is very, very tight. Whether or not you find it comfortable is another thing. So if you're joining as a media professional, you'll be like Joker in what's it? Full Metal Jacket, like a war correspondent. Yeah, the thing is, I don't know how I feel about national service, Beagle, because I think for a lot of people it does give them a good start in life if they kind of mess about a bit too much. But I also know in some countries national service actually fucks up people doing certain careers because they have to leave that career to do national service and then can't get back into that career. But yeah, so it's an interesting discussion, isn't it? But you know, I think if I was to join either of those, I'd rather join Israel than the French Foreign Legion. Um, Anyway, we won't talk too much about that because that becomes one of those almost political type things where people start arguing about how good my army is versus your army, and those people generally have nothing to do with what their nation's history is and everything else. If people are wondering, that's still updating. 8 microsieverts. View log. I don't know if there's... Oh, look, we've got a log entry now. So when I first connected it, the radiation reading was higher. Now it's lower. That's what that tells me. Yeah, I can imagine Hebrew Max would be very difficult to learn. Yeah, I mean, the SAS and SBS, Tim, are like ones that are meant to be very, very, professional and like good all-round special forces, known the world over. Yeah, the thing is, Mike, I think it's how it's applied. And again, I don't want to go down talking about national service and everything for the entire stream now. But I think it's if you have a bit of a rough start in life and it gets you focused on things, teaches you life skills, I think that's really good. The reason I know it's a problem for some people is in some countries, like in France, this was the case because one of my friends came to England so he could get out of doing national service. There are people who basically can't do certain careers because even though they want to do those careers, they have to pause them to do national service, which messes with their education. So I think there needs to be a way if national service is done that, if you are getting things done for yourself, that they then don't say, no, you have to stop that to do your national service. Yeah, I suppose that's not a good thing, Beagle, but anybody really could do like a police or that sort of job, couldn't they? And then go to do crime afterwards. I don't actually have a GP7V. I've got the standard GP7 and then I've got the PMK1. It's not really a good mask, but if you want one because it looks cool, there's no stopping you getting one. It has a drinking tube. It's not a good mask. I won't be googling a lot of stuff like that on the stream, but I can imagine there's different levels of professionalism. But as I said, that's why I don't want it to turn into an entire stream where we talk about stuff like that, because then it will get into people arguing about whose special forces are the best, whose army is the best. I don't like this country because their soldiers did something to my country years and years ago. That it's just I know where these sort of conversations go on streams. Right. Oh, that's conked off again. That is, I don't know why the battery contacts of these are so shit. They work absolutely fine if you run them off a cable. But these always conk out with the battery contacts. I suppose I have put shitty batteries in there as well. But still. Yeah, that's not good. Anyway. Right. This is an interesting thing, Matsius. Sorry if I pronounced your name completely wrong. Right. So there's a really good online resource. I'll link you to that first because this is a site where you can literally just use a calculator. But what we're also going to do, I don't want Rad Pro. What's the other one? Calculator. I have to get up in Chrome and then put the link into Opera because I've not got it. Rad Convert, that's it. Right, Rad Convert is very good, so let me link you to Rad Convert. But basically, I'll explain the maths to you. So a Rontgen is a very old measurement of radiation because it's very metric. 1 Rontgen equals 1 centimeter cubed of air that's ionized, I think, at room temperature. So, 1,000 micro Rontgens in a millirontgen, 1,000 millirontgens in a Rontgen. Now, before sieverts were around, there was a thing called Greys. And Greys, other than being, aliens, Greys was a measurement of radiation. So, for example, that old Mark II Radiac uses Rontgens. The MD3 that replaced it uses centigrays. The reason it's centigray is 1 centigray is very close to 1 Rontgen. So it meant they could kind of keep the Rontgen bits of thing. But anyway, how it works is that 1 Rontgen isn't necessarily absorbed by the body. So what ended up happening is the grey was a better one used in terms of radiation dose. So 1 centigray is about 1.14 Rontgen. So if you assume that for every 1.14 Rontgen is in the air, you absorb about 1 Rontgen on average. It's not an exact science. It depends on lots of factors to do with human body and, how much clothing you're wearing and stuff like that. But yeah, so the grey was the unit that replaced the Rontgen just because it's done more accurately on like human tissue, not the actual air. Now, the unit you might also be very familiar with is the rad, which is the Rontgen absorbed dose. And 1 rad is the exact same measurement as 1 centigray when it's actually on paper. So basically, 1.14 Rontgen equals 1 rad. There's also the REM, isn't there? Rontgen emitted men, or Rontgen emitted man, which is another old obsolete one. And I think that is more like a milligray, I think, or a microgray. I'm not actually sure, but it's another obsolete one. But anyway, the sievert came about because the idea is the sievert tells you in grays how much damage you've done. It's like a harm exposure thing, based on where in your body you get it, and if it's like an alpha emitter inside or outside. So, for example, if you had radiation exposure to your head, that's higher in sieverts than if the same level of radiation exposure was to your hand. That's how it works. Also, if you ate radiation, you get a much higher sievert rating than if you had that same radiation outside your body. The wireless Geiger's out of frame at the moment in my FiestaWare pot, but it's updating on the phone. You can watch the stream back if you want to see it earlier on. And also working out it didn't come with batteries, Yeah, the pilot died. No idea what happened. I don't think they said because it's probably classified military stuff. But yeah, the point is the Rontgen, the easy way of converting it is 1.14 Rontgen equals 1 centigray or 1 centisievert. Or that basically, if you have 0.86 centigray or 0.86, centisievert, that's equal to 1 Rontgen. But the reason I like the Rontgen is it's very metric, in terms of visualizing it. And the reason Rontgens were used is they are an old ion chamber measurement, because it was basically measuring the amount of air ionizing inside an enclosed space. You'll have to wait till I've played about with it more before I can tell you that. But it's working at the moment in a bowl of FiestaWare, so there's that. But yeah, in terms of radiation measurements, there's loads. And yeah, Rontgens are one I like just because they're quite old and, everything used them for quite a long period of time. And you can equate modern ones from Rontgens quite easily. Where it gets quite difficult is if you're looking at things like surface decay of something or columns or whatever it is per kilogram of air. I don't have a WZ32, so I don't know. Radiation will burn out electronics over time. I mean, most Geiger counters are hardened electronics. I mean, the old retro ones are, yeah. But let me look up the Polish WZ32. Then I'm going to get some food in a minute when I go off. It's not too early, is it, at the moment to talk about food? And of course, it won't let me search that because Polish WZ32. Is that the helmet or is it something else? Oh, it's an old gas mask. Oh, looks cool. If you can get one for a good price, go for it. Right, Beagle. on here we're not meant to talk about politics, and then lots of people today want to keep talking about politics. I do not think, I will just put it clearly, I do not think it's good if there are border tensions between two nuclear powers and they're killing each other on the border. But like I said, the problem is everybody constantly wants to bring up politics and countries fighting in here, where I'd rather just talk about the equipment they have, not people, killing each other over religion or borders or whatever else. But yeah, if you ever get any retro Geiger counters, they're always in Rontgens or milli Rontgens or micro Rontgens. So, like old iron chambers, always Rontgens. Old things like DP5s, always Rontgens. CDV 700s, always Rontgens. Well, milli Rontgens, but If you get a classic counter, it's always in Rontgens. If you get modern ones, that's when they're different. But if you're asking me my favorite measurement, I said it's always Rontgen, my favorite measurement. Yeah, I've done some videos on the Metro games, if you watch them. I'm not a massive fan of the Metro series. I don't dislike them. I'm just always preferred the Stalker games. Well, if they use an ion chamber, they're not actually a Geiger counter. A Geiger counter uses a Geiger-Muller probe to count radiation. Ion chambers literally use a box, which is why they're called ion chambers, ionization chambers. But yeah, if you're on about old Geiger counters versus modern Geiger counters, a lot of the old ones are better just because of how shielded they are. They were Cold War bomb-proof things, I mean, that's kind of the reason the old ones are so clunky. But yeah, the problem is there are some very good modern electronic Geiger counters. The issue is budget consumer ones aren't. And I've done this before with videos of this one. This is very good for measuring background radiation, a bit of radiation. You measure too much radiation with this and it just cuts out because the electronics in it are not hardened enough to cope with, some of the crazy check sources that are just shooting too much energy into it. All right, I hope your headache goes, Mike. Are you on Twitch later, did I ask? If you answered and said you're not on Twitch, apologies. But I didn't see an answer to that if I asked it. I'm very tempted to say the L1A1 SLR, Tim, the old British version of the FN FAL. I've got a DIAC one, but I can't show it you on the stream, sadly, because that's against YouTube guidelines now. If you like the SLR, you might like my video that comes out on Sunday. Some of you will know what it is. Yeah, the Met Office has said it's meant to be... They originally said there was meant to be thunderstorms in my area last night. Then they moved it to today, and now they've moved it to tomorrow. But it looks like there is going to be some seriously wet weather when it arrives. Lockdown is boring. Right, according to the current weather forecast, at 4 p.m, there might be a 70% chance of thunderstorms. Then, the percentage goes down as the day goes on, but tomorrow is, 90% chance of rain for, hours and hours and hours of tomorrow. But, yeah. So, thanks to the people that donated on today's stream. As I said, it's been a bit of an early one today, but that's just because I had to get up early to, wait for the courier. But, my 12 bottles of wine and my bottle of rum did arrive all right. Right, you will be on. It was one of those things, Mike. I'm sure in my head I thought if I asked that or not, and I couldn't remember. But right, I'll definitely be on tonight. I'll be probably drinking the rum while watching it. Yeah, loads of countries use the FN FAL Beagle because it was a really good rifle, the right arm of the free world. Tell you what I can show you, even though I can't get the physical gun out. I'm sure YouTube can't throw a fit over this. What's the name of the Brazilian fowls? Is it like Imbel or something like that, or is that the Indian ones? I know Brazil used the fowl and the cow and quite a lot of other FN derivatives. Brazil is 14 in here, so let's go to 14. Oh, weirdly, they've not actually, unless I've already skipped past the rifles to the machine guns. Oh, I have, that's why. It's going, why are there no fouls on here? And I'm realised, oh, I'm already at the machine gun section. Bear with me a moment, then we'll have a look and see if your no books on live stream. Education's banned, is it? Problem is, there's so many rifles that it takes longer. Right, Mexico. I'm not too far off. I'm at Mexico, Peru, Dominican Republic, Venezuela, Argentina, Brazil. Right, here we go. So some old bolt actions to start with, Mausers. But the bit you're interested in is these imbao. I don't know if I said imbao, but that was pretty close to what I was thinking. Brazilian fouls are imbaos, apparently. Yeah, imbao. So imbao M964, which is the classic foul. And then there's the imbao MD2, which is an actually 5.56 by 45 millimeter. I know they have a few other derivatives as well, don't they? But yeah. So yeah, for those of you, because I can't legally show it you on stream or some shit, that's the one, my classic one. Although I've got the one with plastic furniture on, not the wood L1A1. And if you want to know the, it's also got some of the prototype fouls in here because obviously it's quite a conclusive book, this one. But I'll read you out the bit for L1A1 before I go off. The name of the book is Guns, the Complete World Encyclopedia of, by Will Fowler. Weirdly, I used to work with a guy called Will Fowler, but obviously no relation to this guy. Anthony North, Charles Strong, with an E, and Patrick Sweeney. Yeah, I'll read the bit out on the L1A1 before I go off. So, people can kind of get a very brief description from a proper person, not me, why it's different than a normal foul. The L1A1, once adopted, the new British service rifle of the 1950s would be made at Enfield. The result was a licensed version of the Belgian foul rifle, rugged enough to serve around the world for over 30 years. The Commonwealth fouls are known as inch pattern rifles, as the dimensions were an imperial rather than metric. British magazines also different in the attachment blocks on the tube, making them unusable in metric rifles, but metric magazines were usable in British rifles. The L1A1 remained in service from adoption in 1956 until replaced by the dismal SA-80 in 1985. And yeah, I didn't make up that they said dismal SA-80. Anybody who kind of knows the history of guns knows that if it wants to focus. There we go. Dismal. There we go. Yeah, I think it's got Tim in here. I'll just have a quick look before I go off. I think it has got the some of the South African Galils on here. But in general, Israel made really good guns. I mean, obviously, it's got the Galil here on the Israel one. But if I find South Africa, I've gone too far because I'm at China now. How it's done basically going west to east on the map, how it sorts them in here. We're at commie block country, so I've gone too far. I'm assuming it'll be close to where like Germany is, South Africa. I know it's not on the same continent, but I think that's how it's... Let me just double check in case I have done it in a weird way. That is country 32 on the list. Okay, so South Africa is randomly between Croatia and Serbia. I wouldn't have guessed that. But I guess that's because geographically, if you're going west to east, it would be. Yeah, it's only got the R4 on here. It's not a complete book of guns. As much as it says the Complete World Encyclopedia of Guns, there'll still be guns you'll not find in here. But this is a very good book if you just want a... because basically each section starts off kind of like with a history section on that style of gun. And then it has like, you know, the encyclopedia type bit. So this is a combined one of pistols and submachine guns and rifles and machine guns. Because I think you could get them as separate books, but this is like the complete one. But yeah, anyway, there you go. Oh, is Rhodesia in here before I go? I'm just kind of interested, does Rhodesia actually exist in this book? Saying that, there's a lot of African countries on there that aren't. No, South Africa's on there, but Rhodesia isn't. But I assume that's just because Rhodesia didn't exist when the book was made. Zimbabwe isn't on there either, obviously. But it starts off with some black powder guns, but it's mostly on about modern guns. Yeah, obviously, it like I said, it does go over black powders to begin with a little bit, but it kind of glosses over them. You know, as in, it gives you a bit of history on them and how they worked and everything, the different kinds of systems. But obviously, most of it is focused on development of cartridges and then modern cartridge firearms. Saying that, there is a lot to read on, like the pre-modern bins, you know, bits on the pistol one. But once you've got through that section, you know, you're into all the stuff on development of, you know, World War I, World War II, Cold War era guns. I've not got Verdun installed, so the answer is probably no. And I found streaming a game yesterday was quite difficult because it was hard to concentrate on the chat and the game at the same time. Anyway, I'll be off. Thanks everybody that joined and thanks everybody that donated. But yeah, it's been an interesting stream talking about a wireless Geiger counter. Let's see if it's still updating. Yeah, there we go. So that's still updating and working. So I'm going to leave that on today and see if it gets any good results as the day goes on. So then talking about national service and things like that, and then going to guns. But yeah, there we go. Right, thanks everybody. Have a good day. And I'll see you on Weapon Collector's stream later.